In this session, we will discuss about vestibulocochlear nerve. Before discussing, I have drawn some structures. Let me introduce those. This is the external ear. This is tympanic membrane. Here is the middle ear cavity, and here is inner ear. Inner ear having cochlear part and the vestibular part. From the cochlear part, nerve is arising. That nerve what we call cochlear part of vestibulocochlear nerve. From the vestibular part, nerve is arising. This nerve what we call vestibular part of vestibulocochlear nerve. These two nerves are united and they come out through the internal acoustic meatus and attaching to the pontomedullary junction. Otherwise, cerebellopontine angle. Behind that cerebellum will be there, right? So, in between the cerebellum and pons, there will be formation of one angle. That angle what we call cerebellopontine angle. So, this is a brief idea about the vestibulocochlear nerve. See, inner ear having cochlear part and the vestibular part. In the cochlear part, there is a receptor. What is that receptor? Hearing organ. What is that hearing organ? Organ of Corti. Right? When you take the section of organ of Corti, it will be like this. Along with bony labyrinth, if you take, this is the cut section, and here you can see the spiral lamina. Within that spiral lamina only one ganglion is present. Let me draw that ganglion. So here is a ganglion, and here basal lamina. Over basal lamina you can find the hair cells. Here you can find the hair cells. Of course, along with hair cells there will be supporting cells also. I am not going in detail, just I am giving very brief idea. So hair cells contains cilia at the apical part. Then here you can see one membrane. This membrane what we call membrana tectoria. Because of the movement of the endolymph, this membrana tectoria will touches the cilia, so that these cells will be stimulated. That means these receptors will be stimulated. That stimulus will be taken by peripheral processes of cells which are present in this ganglion. What is this ganglion? Spiral ganglion. Actually, this is the cell body, this is the nucleus. It is giving central process and peripheral process. This peripheral process will be innervating the hair cells. Then this central process will be entering into the central nervous system. Is it clear? So, here peripheral process will be present. These peripheral processes reaching to the cell body. From the cell body, central processes will be arising. All these central processes, that means like this, so many cut sections will be there, no? From all these central process will be united and forming the cochlear part of the vestibulocochlear nerve. That means this is the first order neuron. Neurons are present where? Present in the ganglion. Which ganglion? Spiral ganglion. So this is the vestibular part of the vestibulocochlear nerve. Right? Now it is passing through which foramen? Internal acoustic meatus. Right? Then it attaching where? It is attaching to the brainstem at the junction of pons and medulla oblongata. After entering into the brainstem, where it will be relaying. That means these central process where they will be relaying, I will tell you in the pathway. But in gross anatomy, you have to remember that from the cochlear part, nerve is passing through the internal acoustic meatus and attaching to the brainstem at the junction of pons and medulla. That's it. Next, what is this? Saccule, utricle, semicircular canals. Within the saccule and utricle, there will be macula. Within the semicircular canals, there will be cristae. These are the receptors for the balance. Macula, which is present in the saccule and utricle, it is for static balance. Cristae for kinetic balance. Here I have drawn the nerve with dilatation. What is this dilatation called? This dilatation, what we call vestibular ganglion. What is this? Vestibular ganglion. Within this vestibular ganglion, cells will be present like this. What are these cells? Pseudo-unipolar cells. That means they will be having the peripheral process and central process. So, if you take that cells, cell body is present here and the peripheral process will be innervating the, what is the receptor which is present here? Cristae of semicircular canals and macula of saccule and utricle. These are the peripheral process. From here central process will be there, no? These central processes, they forms the nerve. This nerve is vestibular part of the vestibulocochlear nerve. and these nerve fibers, they pass through this nerve and they will be attaching to the brainstem at the junction of pons and medulla oblongata. So this is about the gross anatomy of vestibulocochlear nerve. Through the internal acoustic meatus, not only 8th cranial nerve is passing, 7th cranial nerve also passing through the internal acoustic meatus along with labyrinthine artery. Is that clear? So that is about the gross part. Now we will see auditory pathway and also vestibular pathway. There are two pathways are there in relation with the vestibulocochlear nerve. One pathway is auditory pathway, another pathway is vestibular pathway. If you take the auditory pathway, central processes, they are emerging out from where? Spiral ganglion. So here, from here, I will draw schematic view of this tract. So what is this? Cell body, and what is this? Peripheral process, and what is this? Central process, right? So this is the first order neuron. It will be attaching to where? Pontomedullary junction. Then it enters into where? It enters into the brainstem and they will be terminated or they will be ending. That means first order neurons are ending where? In the cochlear nucleus. See here, this is the ventral and dorsal cochlear nuclei. If you take one more neuron, it will be like this. They will be terminated where? They are terminated in the ventral and dorsal cochlear nucleus. First order neurons are ending in the cochlear nucleus. Now second order neurons will start. The second order neurons will be starting from here. That means from the cochlear nucleus. Some second order neurons from the cochlear nucleus, they runs same side. But some second order neurons from the cochlear nucleus, they crosses opposite side. Some are running in the same side, some are running in the opposite side. When they are running into the opposite side, there will be crisscrossing of fibers along with some nuclei. That part what we call trapezoid body, right? So through the trapezoid body, these fibers will be crossing to the opposite side and reaching to this nucleus here. What is this nucleus? Which is present in the pons? Superior olivary nucleus. What is that nucleus called? Superior olivary nucleus. So first order neurons in the spiral ganglion, second order neurons which are present in the cochlear nucleus. Some fibers will be running same side, some fibers will be crossing opposite side in the trapezoid body. Now the second order neurons over, third order neurons, from where they start? They starts from the, what is this nucleus here? This nucleus is superior olivary nucleus. From the superior olivary nucleus, third order neurons are starting. These third order neurons, they ascends up and ends in, what is this which is present in the midbrain? Inferior colliculus. What is this? Inferior colliculus. Third order neurons ends in the inferior colliculus. But this tract is there, no? This tract what we call lateral lemniscus. That means these fibers they forms one bundle, no? This bundle what we call lateral lemniscus. Then from the inferior colliculus, fourth order neurons will start. Those fourth order neurons from here, they reaches to the medial geniculate body. They reaches to medial geniculate body. From the medial geniculate body, other neurons will start. That means which order now? This is third, here is fourth order neuron. Next fifth order neurons. This fifth order neurons from the medial geniculate body, they forms the auditory radiation. They forms bundles of fibers. Those bundles of fibers what we call auditory radiation. That auditory radiation they pass through the sublentiform part of internal capsule. We have already discussed about internal capsule. You can see that video. So these fibers they pass through the sublentiform part of internal capsule and they reaches to the, which area is this? Area number 41 and 42 of temporal lobe. This side also same. Sometimes the fourth order neurons from the inferior colliculus, they crosses opposite side and they terminate in the opposite side geniculate bodies. Then from the geniculate bodies, fifth order neurons will be reaching to the area number 41 and 42. So this is only auditory pathway. Recollect once again. First order neurons of auditory pathway present in the ganglion which is present in the spiral laminae. That is what we call spiral ganglion. Then those fibers they reaches to the brainstem. So what is this nerve called now? This cochlear part of vestibulocochlear nerve. This nerve is cochlear part of vestibulocochlear nerve. So through this nerve fibers are reaching to the brainstem and they are terminating in the cochlear nucleus. Within the cochlear nucleus second order neurons are started. Those second order neurons terminating in the superior olivary nucleus. Some fibers will be running in the same side, some fibers will be crossing opposite side and forms a trapezoid body. Third order neurons from the superior olivary nucleus, they reaches to the inferior colliculus. But this tract what we call lateral lemniscus, or this bundles of fibers what we call lateral lemniscus. Then from the inferior colliculus, fourth order neurons will be arising. These fourth order neurons are terminating in the medial geniculate body, and within the medial geniculate body fifth order neurons will be started. Some fourth order neurons they crosses to the opposite side and they terminate in the medial geniculate body. Then fifth order neurons from the medial geniculate body pass through the sublentiform part of internal capsule and they reaches to the temporal lobe and they terminate or they end in the area number 41 and 42, that is primary auditory area. To remember this, usually almost all teachers will tell one mnemonic. What is that? E. coli ma, from below upwards. E. coli ma. E, ear. So first ear. Then C, cochlear nucleus. Then O, what is this nucleus here? Superior olivary nucleus. Then L, what is this lemniscus in between the superior olivary nucleus and the inferior colliculus? Lateral lemniscus. This part is lateral lemniscus. Then I, what is this? Inferior colliculus. Then M, medial geniculate body. Then A, auditory cortex. So this is the mnemonic for the auditory pathway. Very simple. Cochlea to the cochlear nucleus. From the cochlear nucleus, superior olivary nucleus. From the superior olivary nucleus to the inferior colliculus. From the inferior colliculus to the medial geniculate body. From the medial geniculate body to the auditory cortex. That's it about the auditory pathway. Then if you coming to the vestibular pathway, vestibular nerve, how it will be passing and how it is entering into the brainstem we have seen. Now the fibers from the vestibular part of the inner ear like this and they forms the nerve. Which nerve is this? Vestibular part of vestibulocochlear nerve. So here ganglion is there. Within the ganglion which neurons are present? Pseudo unipolar neurons or first order neurons are present. So here first order neurons, right? This is the cell body and this cell body having the process. This is the peripheral process and here is central process. This central process of vestibular ganglion pass through the vestibular part of vestibulocochlear nerve and reaching to this nucleus. What is this nucleus here? This green color one which I have drawn. Vestibular nucleus. This vestibular nucleus will be divided into four parts: superior, inferior, medial, lateral vestibular nucleus. Now these neurons, where they have terminated? They have terminated in the vestibular nucleus. From the vestibular nucleus, fibers will be going to the cerebellum. So this tract what we call vestibulocerebellar tract, right? So fibers from the vestibular nucleus reaching to the cerebellum. Then from the cerebellum efferent fibers will be coming, no? This is the afferent, right? Then efferent fibers also will be going, no? So those efferent fibers from the cortex through the fastigious nucleus. Actually this is the dentate nucleus and this is the fastigious nucleus, right? So efferents will be going to the fastigious nucleus. Then from the fastigious nucleus fibers will be again they reaches to this nucleus. What is this nucleus? Vestibular nucleus only. Then some fibers they reaches to the reticular formation which is present in the brainstem. So here is the reticular formation. The neurons from the fastigious nucleus reaching to the vestibular nucleus, right? Now from the vestibular nucleus, some fibers they descends down and reaching to the anterior horn cells of spinal cord. So this tract what we call vestibulospinal tract. This tract what we call vestibulospinal tract. Then from the reticular formation, those fibers also will be running downwards and terminated in the anterior horn cells. These fibers what we call reticulospinal tract, right? Not only these two, there is one more important one. See here, I have drawn 3 green color structures here. These are 6th cranial nerve nucleus, 4th cranial nerve nucleus, 3rd cranial nerve nucleus, and here I have drawn one more. This is 11th cranial nerve nucleus. There will be one tract or one pathway which will be connected with the vestibular nucleus, and it is connecting to almost all cranial nerves, especially 3rd cranial nerve nucleus, 4th cranial nerve nucleus, 6th cranial nerve nucleus, and also 11th cranial nerve nucleus, right? So this bundle what we call medial longitudinal bundle. So this medial longitudinal bundle will be connected with the cranial nerve nuclei. This tract is connected with the vestibular nucleus. This is about the vestibular tract. Very simple. Peripheral processes of vestibular ganglion innervating the crista of semicircular canals, macula of saccule and utricle. This kinetic and static balance will be taken by this peripheral process and reaching to the cell body. Then from the cell body, central process. This central process will be reaching to the vestibular nucleus through which nerve? Vestibulocochlear nerve only. Which part of the vestibulocochlear nerve? Vestibular part of vestibulocochlear nerve. Then here this is the vestibular nucleus. Within the vestibular nucleus there will be 4 parts: superior, inferior, medial and lateral. Vestibular nerve is terminating in the vestibular nucleus. From the vestibular nucleus, neurons will be passing and reaching to the cerebellum. Which part of the cerebellum? Archaeocerebellum or flocculonodular lobe. This part what we call flocculonodular lobe. From the flocculonodular lobe, efferent fibers will be arising. Those efferent fibers they reaches to the fastigious nucleus which is present in the cerebellum only. From the fastigious nucleus, some neurons connected to the reticular formation and vestibular nucleus. Some neurons from the vestibular nucleus they descend down and they terminate in the anterior horn cells. So this tract what we call vestibulospinal tract. Then other tract which is arising from the reticular formation and to the anterior horn cells, that is what we call reticulospinal tract. Not only these 2 tracts, this vestibular nucleus is connected with one more bundle or one more tract. That bundle what we call medial longitudinal bundle. This medial longitudinal bundle is connected with the cranial nerve nucleus, especially here it is connecting to the 3rd cranial nerve nucleus, 4th cranial nerve nucleus, 6th cranial nerve nucleus and 11th cranial nerve nucleus. So this is the vestibulocochlear nerve and this is auditory pathway and this is vestibular pathway. Okay, that's it for this issue.